Hello there friends, it's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and today we are going to be making a dress as our next week's project for our Amigurumi Advent Calendar Crochet Along. To follow along with today's tutorial, you're going to need worsted weight yarn in two different colors. I'm using Brava worsted weight in the color Lady Slipper and Frieza. You'll need two 9mm buttons, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a stitch marker, a 3.5mm or E crochet hook, and you'll also need a sewing needle and thread. So if you're ready to get started, please hit that like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my space here and we'll get ready to get started on our dress. So to start with our dress, we're going to be using the darker of the two colors that we've selected, and we're going to create a slip knot. And we're going to place that onto our crochet hook. Now we're going to do a chain 30. So yarn over, pull through the loop, and that's the chain. And we're going to do this until we have 30 chains. So now we are ready to start with round 1 of our dress. And we're going to skip the first 6 chains and place a single crochet into the 7th chain. So the loop on your chain never counts. We're going to count from this chain here over. We're going to count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we know that we're not working into those first 6 chains, and we're going to single crochet into this 7th chain here. And when we do our single crochet, we're going to go into that stitch or that chain. We're going to yarn over and pull up the loop. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and that's your completed single crochet. And now we're going to do a single crochet into each remaining chain across. At the end of this round, you should have 24 stitches. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready to do round 2, just do 1 single crochet into each chain across, and I'll meet you here for round 2. So I just did my last stitch of round 1, and I'm ready to start with round 2. To start round 2, we're going to yarn over and pull through the loop on our chain, our hook to chain up 1, and then we're going to turn our work. And to start, we're going to place 1 single crochet into each of the first 3 stitches. And in the next stitch, we're going to do what's called a single crochet increase, which is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. There's my first, and there's my second. And now we're going to repeat this pattern of 3 single crochets followed by a single crochet increase across our row. That we should be doing it a total of 6 times. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready to do round 3. At the end of round 2, you should have 30 stitches before moving into round 3. So if you pause your video, I'll meet you back here when you're ready for the instructions for round 3. So I just finished my last stitch of round 2, and I'm ready to move on to round 3. To do that, we're going to yarn over and chain up 1 and turn our work. And we're going to place 1 single crochet into each of the first 4 stitches. And now we're going to place a single crochet increase into the next stitch. So one more time, that's 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And now we're going to repeat this pattern of single crochet once into the next 4 stitches, followed by a single crochet increase into the next. We're going to repeat this pattern a total of 6 times, so that's 5 more times for this round. And then at the end of this round, you should have 36 stitches. So I'll show you one more time what the repeat is. It's single crochet once into the next 4 stitches, followed by an increase into the next stitch. So if you'd like to pause your video and finish this round, I'll meet you back here when you're ready for round 4. And now that we're ready to start with round 4, we're going to yarn over and chain up 1 and turn our work. And now for round 4, we're just going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch across. There should be no changes in your stitch count. You should still have 36 stitches at the end of your round. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready for round 5, I'll meet you back here. So at the end of round 4, you're going to yarn over and chain up 1 and turn your work. And we're ready to start with round 5. So for round 5, we're going to place 1 single crochet into each of the first 11 stitches. And now we will place a single crochet increase into the next stitch. And now we're going to repeat that pattern 2 more times. So single crochet once into the next 11 stitches, followed by a single crochet increase into the next. You should, at the end of this round, you should have 39 stitches. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready for the next round, I'll meet you back here. At the end of round 5, I'm going to yarn over and chain up 1 and turn my work. And I'm ready to start with round 6. For round 6, we're just going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So if you'd like to pause your video and do 1 round of 1 single crochet into each stitch, I'll meet you back here when we're ready to start with round 7. Now that I'm ready to start with round 7, I'm going to yarn over and chain up 1 and turn my work. And to start round 7, we're going to place 1 single crochet into each of the first 12 stitches. And there's my 12, and now I'm going to single crochet increase into the next stitch. And now we're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to place 1 single crochet into each of the next 12 stitches, followed by an increase into the next stitch 2 more times. At the end of this round, you should have 42 single crochet stitches. If you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready for round 8, I'll meet you back here. And now for round 8, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And for round 8, it's very simple. We're just going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're ready to do round 9, I will meet you back here. So when I'm ready to start with round 9, I'm going to chain 6 and turn my work. So yarn over and pull through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now I'm going to turn my work. And now we're going to skip those 6 chains that we just created because this is going to be a buttonhole. And we're going to single crochet into the last stitch of our last round. So skipping that chain 6, and we're going to single crochet into that next stitch here. And then we are going to single crochet into each stitch across. So again, our stitch count does not change with the exception that we have added a chain 6 space for a buttonhole. So if you'd like to pause your video and do your round of single crochet, I'll meet you back here when we're ready for round 10. Now that I'm ready to start with round 10, I'm going to chain up 1 and turn my work. For rounds 10 through 12, you're going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and then at the end of the round you'll chain up 1 and turn your work. So if you'd like to pause your video and do rounds 10, 11, and 12 in just single crochet, I will meet you back here when we're ready to start with round 13. So I just am finishing with round 12, and this is the last stitch of round 12, and I'm not going to be finishing that stitch with this color because I need to change to my second color. So I've started my single crochet, and actually I'll pull this out and show you how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to insert into the last stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop just as if I am going to do my regular single crochet. And I'm going to drop that yarn and I'm going to bring in my second color. Now I use a slip knot for this because it's a little bit more secure for videos. You don't have to do that. You can just lay the yarn over your hook. And so I'm just going to pull that yarn through those loops and finish my stitch with that new color. And now I'm just going to continue on with this new color moving forward. So to start with round 3, I'm going to chain up 1 and turn my work. And now we're going to be working in the back loop only for this round. Now starting in the first stitch here, through the back loop, I'm going to place 1 single crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to place a single crochet increase. And we're going to repeat this pattern of 1 single crochet followed by a single crochet increase a total of 21 times. So we've done it once, so we're going to do it 20 more times. So there's 1 single crochet followed by a single crochet increase, and every stitch in this round is worked in the back loop only. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you are, after you finish the last stitch of this round, I'm going to show you what we're going to need to do before we move on to round 14. So I just finished my last stitch of round 13, and before I move on to my next round, I'm going to join my last stitch to my first stitch with a slip stitch. So I'm going to come over here and insert my hook into that first stitch of the round. I'm going to get these tails out of the way, and I'm going to yarn over, pull through the stitch, and then pull through the loop on my hook to join with the slip stitch. Now, if you have difficulties once you join your round keeping track of the first stitch, I do recommend that you just slip a stitch marker into the first stitch like this, and you'll be able to know where your last stitch is going to need to be worked. So for moving on for round 14, we're going to chain up 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're not going to work into that slip stitch. We're going to be working into the last stitch of the round here, and we're going to place a single crochet increase into that first stitch. Then we're going to single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches. And that's going to be our repeat for this round. We're going to do a single crochet increase into the first stitch and 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. We're going to do this a total of 21 times for this round. So we've done it twice. So we're going to need to do this 19 more times. At the end of this round, you should have 84 stitches. So if you'd like to pause your video and come back to me when you're finishing round 24, I'll show you what we need to do before we move on to round 15. So I just finished my last stitch of round 14, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the first round to join my last stitch in my first stitch. Then I'm going to chain up 1, turn my work, and I'm ready to start with round 15. For rounds 15 through 25, we're just going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch around. When you get to the end of your round, you will join your last stitch to your first stitch with a slip stitch as we just did, and your stitch count should never change. You're going to have 84 stitches in each row. So if you'd like to pause your video and do rounds 15 through 25 in just single crochet in joined rounds, I will meet you back here when you are ready to move on to creating the straps of our dress and finishing our off by adding our buttons. So pause your video and I'll meet you back here in just a few moments. So I am getting ready to create the dress straps on our dress. Now this is an off the shoulder type strap, and I've got an already finished sample here. And so they're going to kind of sit off. They're going to look very large for your armholes, but it's because they're supposed to sit off this shoulder and kind of drape a little bit. So we are going to have our dress here, and we're going to find the chain 6 space from round 1. And that first stitch that we worked here after we skipped our stitches, we want to attach our yarn into that stitch. And so we want to have the wrong side of the fabric facing us, which means your chain 6 space should be on your right. So I'm going to insert my hook through the loop here from the first stitch of that round, and then I'm going to pull my yarn through, and then I'm going to slip stitch here to join. Now I wouldn't recommend crocheting over your tail at this point because it will show, because it's on the front of your fabric. You will have to weave this in to get the cleanest look possible. So now that we have joined to our first stitch, we're going to single crochet into that stitch. And we're going to single crochet now into each of the next 4 stitches. So it might be a little tricky to see, but you want to find the loops of each of the next 4 stitches left from that first round. And we're going to do that, crochet in the next 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to do a chain 16, and this will be our armhole. All right, there's my chain 16. Now I'm going to skip the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to do another chain 16 to create our second armhole. So now that I have my chain 16, I'm going to skip the next 5 stitches. And I'm going to single crochet into that next stitch. So now that we've done our single crochet here, we're going to have 4 stitches remaining, and we're going to single crochet into each of those last 4 stitches. And now we will chain up 1 and turn our work, and we are ready to start with row 2. For row 2, we're going to start by slip stitching into the first 5 stitches. And again, that slip stitches, you're going to insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull that up a loop, and then you're going to pull that loop through the loop on your hook. We're going to do that 4 more times. So now that I have done my slip stitches into the first 5 stitches of the row, I'm going to start working into our chain space here. And sorry, we're actually going to be working directly into the chains, not the chain space, but what I meant to say was like we were approaching the chain space. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the first 2 chains. And then we will single crochet into each of the next 2 chains. Now we will half double crochet into each of the next 2 chains. To half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and that's your stitch completed. And we're going to do that again. Yarn over, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now we're going to double crochet into each of the next 4 chains. To double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. And now we're going to do that 3 more times. Yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that now 2 more times. And now we're going to half double crochet into each of the next 2 chains. We will single crochet into each of the next 2 chains. And now we will slip stitch into each of the remaining 2 chains. All right, so now we are at the center point of the dress, and we are going to slip stitch into each of the next 4 stitches. Two, 3, oh no, and 4. All right, and now we are at our next chain space. So you want to turn your chain so it's facing you, and you're going to slip stitch into the first and second chain. There's 1 and 2. Single crochet into the next 2 chains. Half double crochet into the next 2 chains. And double crochet into the next 4 chains. Now we're going to half double crochet into the next 2 chains. Single crochet into the next 2. And slip stitch into the last 2. And now you will have 5 single crochets remaining, and you'll just slip stitch into each of those remaining stitches. And now that is the last stitch of our dress strap. So we're going to cut a yarn tail of at least 4 to 6 inches for us to weave in. And we're going to finish off. And then we can weave in our ends. So this is what the straps will look like. And if when you're finished here, you'll take your buttons and your needle and thread, and you will attach Goodness, it'd help if I had it. Here we go. Get all these tails out of the way. We're going to attach our buttons across from our chain 6 spaces in the bodice here. Sew those on with a needle and thread, and then your dress is ready to go. And here is my finished dress here. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to this channel. And if you have any comments or questions, I would love to hear from you and help you in any way that I can. Please leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoy free crochet patterns, please check out my blog, theloopylamb.com. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.